Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, when trying to get your deposit back from your landlord is like drawing blood from a stone. Silence me for 4 years? Enjoy losing all of your friends. Best college speaker ever. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. When trying to get your deposit back from your landlord is like drawing blood from a stone. Back in 2018, I had a temporary internship in California at insert large tech company, so I took a recommendation from a friend about a room for rent. It would be living with 5 other people, but otherwise, it looked fantastic with spacious common areas, multiple huge TVs, full amenities, community rec center with pool, short drive times to multiple places of interest, all for $650 per month, utilities included. I contacted the landlord, whom I will refer to as Shitty Landlord. He seemed fine on the phone, so I sent him my security deposit to move in a month later. When it came time to move in, I discover a few caveats that came with this low rent price. The common areas were all dusty, none of the 3 large TVs worked properly. If we wanted access to the rec center and pool, we'd need to pay the $80/MO membership fee, and all of the short drives time estimates were exaggerated, unless you were speeding at 2x the speed limit. Whatever, it's not the end of the world, especially at the relatively low price. I'll survive. But then it got worse in the coming months. Shitty Landlord decided to charge us an extra $20 per month for paper towels and public cleaning supplies. Shitty Landlord only checked the community mailbox once a week when he was in town and refused to trust anybody with the mailbox key. As it starts to roll into the summer, in June, Shitty Landlord decided that AC costs too much, and we were using too much, so he removed the thermostat from the wall. Okay. One day some of us tenants confronted him when he was at the house, since Shitty Landlord also slept at the house about less than 1 day per week, and I'll never forget his words as he rushed out of the house. "It's legal for me to do it, and I don't care since I don't have to live here." Well sir, fuck you. I'm tilted as fuck at this guy's obvious money grab from 6 tenants. Well, it turns out he's right, he legally doesn't need to provide air conditioning. So, the next day I purchase a high BTU freestanding portable air conditioner that exhausts out the window. Holy shit, this thing was luxury. Of course I pump my room to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, the lowest setting. We have a couple other minor disagreements that wind up with Shitty Landlord texting me that it's fine if I wanted to break my lease and move out early. Perfect. When Shitty Landlord finally gets a whiff of my AC setup, he comes to my room to complain about my AC unit. I reply curtly, "It's legal for me to do it, and I don't care since I don't have to pay for electricity." He leaves and later sends me a text. Yeah, okay. Unbeknownst to Shitty Landlord, I'm taking his move-out offer seriously, and this whole time, I've been rallying the troops. All the tenants have been upset about everyone's living situation, so with some minor encouragement, I managed to convince 2 of the other 6 tenants to move out at the same time as me. They were on a month-to-month arrangement. I finally submit all our notices of intent to vacate at the same time, barely a week after my previous conversation with Shitty Landlord. He's pissed. He was just trying to get me out of the house, but now he has 3 rooms to fill instead of just 1. I ask about my legally mandated pre-move-out inspection. In no uncertain terms he told me to go fuck myself. He said he's too busy to perform an inspection. Well, that's illegal, but okay. Time comes to move out. I found another room for rent much closer to the office for only $100/MO more. We all move out and I text Shitty Landlord about my security deposit. No response. I text again. No response. Okay, I see where this is going. I spend days and days reading the law, compiling evidence/screenshots, and listing the laws that were broken. The smoking gun was the statute that requires a pre-move-out inspection, and a list of things to fix, an itemized list of deductions within 21 days, or else Shitty Landlord loses the right to withhold any of my deposit. In addition, he would be subject to treble damages if he's found to be acting in bad faith. I text again and again. I give him plenty of leniency, and I even cite the laws, so I can prove in court that I'm acting in good faith and Shitty Landlord intentionally ignored the laws that I made him aware about. Shitty Landlord probably thinks I'm a young pushover college student who won't follow through with legal threats. Well sir, we're going to court because I'm petty as fuck when it comes to people trying to fuck me over. I file in small claims for $650 plus treble damages, plus court costs. Shitty landlord files a counterclaim of $2,000 for damages to the property claiming I caused flooding, and I broke the microwave. Okay buddy. In response, I gather testimonies from 3 of the other tenants, and I build my case into a 40-page packet of evidence, complete with page numbers, a table of contents, and descriptions for every screenshot and photo. I make 3 copies of everything and submit it to the court and the defendant shitty landlord. The court date is set for November, and I leave the state just before Christmas, so just in time to appear in person since my internship ends, and I fly home in December. He starts filing to requests to postpone the trial. He cites a doctor's appointment and the motion is granted. Court date is rescheduled for a month later, in December, but still before I fly home. New court date approaches and he files another request to postpone, citing another doctor's appointment. Somehow that motion is granted as well and we're rescheduled yet again to January. Darn. January rolls around and surprise surprise, guess who's got another doctor's appointment conveniently on the same exact day of the trial? Denied. The court finally got of his bullshit and denied the motion because he can't prove he scheduled the doctor's appointment prior to the court date being moved. Welp. I'm not in CA anymore, I'm across the country on the East Coast. Shitty landlord thinks if I'm no longer in the state, he'll automatically win since I'm not willing to fly back to CA. Well, unbeknownst to shitty landlord, California courts offer an option to appear by telephone. Haha. Court day comes and I get the call. I'm sworn in and then connected to the court. I'm given time to present my case. Unfortunately, I didn't prepare a script, so I kinda summarize the events and explain why I deserve money. Then shitty landlord gets time to defend himself and explain his counterclaim. He doesn't prepare anything either, and he ends up rambling about random shit that doesn't help his case at all. For example, he spends a lot of time explaining how another one of the tenants was shitty, and so his behavior was justified. He doesn't even have a sliver of evidence for his counterclaim when the judge asks for it. The judge asks a few more questions and announces that he'll review the evidence, and we'll get the decision in the mail. A couple weeks later, I get the judgment saying I'm owed $650, shitty landlord gets nothing. Well damn, no treble damages for me. However, it's just my luck the shitty landlord is a piece of shit that won't accept defeat. He files an appeal for who knows what. It's granted. Redo trial is scheduled for May. This time I'm 10x more prepared. Once again, I'm sworn in, and then they connect me to the courtroom speaker. This time I have a hashed out script that I read, making sure to emphasize how often I informed shitty landlord of the law, how often shitty landlord knowingly broke the law, and how I offered so much leniency, and so many opportunities to do the right thing. Once again, shitty landlord doesn't prepare anything, but instead rambles on so much that even the judge tells him to get back on track multiple times. Shitty landlord claims I caused water damage and had to replace all the carpets. The judge asks for an invoice or receipt. He has none. Shitty landlord claims I broke the microwave, so the judge reads him the 3 witness statements that all state I didn't break the microwave. Shitty landlord says they're all lying. He still has no evidence whatsoever. At this point, the judge clearly sounds done with his shit and says we'll get his decision in the mail, and the call ends. A couple weeks later, I get the judgment. I'm owed $1,800 and shitty landlord still gets nothing. Well damn, would you look at that? His appeal did not quite work out for him. He goes from owing $650 to owing me $1,800. Being the shithead that he is, he files for a mistrial, claiming I was not sworn in and that I lied in my testimony. Denied. Outside of court, shitty landlord offers a payment plan of $20 per month which will take 7.5 years to pay back, or otherwise he refuses to pay up. Okay, I see how collecting my money is going to be. I figure out he banks at BOA by looking up the checks I gave him for rent and seeing where they got cashed. I file for a writ of execution that will allow me to perform a bank levy. It's granted, so I prepare a packet for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department to go to BOA and take his money. Laxt serves him with papers and orders BOA to freeze his account. After his allotted time, 30D, to contest the seizure, LACSD seizes his money, plus 10% APY interest, plus sheriff fees. I finally get the glorious check in the mail, 20 months after moving out. I'll probably frame it. Total, $1,893.91. Silence me for 4 years? Enjoy losing all of your friends. I originally posted this in r/ProRevenge, and many people told me it would do well here, smiley face. So, some backstory: my freshman year of high school I was sexually assaulted by a peer, and so was another girl. I kept it to myself because we had a lot of mutual friends, and I didn't want them to be uncomfortable or feel like they had to choose a side. I also felt like I was responsible, and it made me feel really guilty. I also suffered a lot of psychological repercussions. I began cutting, I developed severe anxiety and depression. Finally it peaked and I forced myself to tell my English teacher. The police were called, I was interviewed. Already I could tell the detective was not taking me seriously. He also blatantly misquoted me in the statement and used words like misunderstanding, and he went in for a kiss. Even though I made it very clear I struggled and tried to push him away, and he had me pinned to the wall with his hand around my throat. He confessed after 10 minutes of being interviewed by the police. The charges got dropped by the prosecutor because he felt the case would never go to trial. He was a star student and was very well respected. After this he was banned from speaking at school-sanctioned events. I was still quiet because I'm not a rock-the-boat type person. Eventually I found out he was planning on going to the same college I was going to. I wrote him a letter, asking him to please reconsider. He had said he was very sorry earlier. I told him in the letter to put his money where his mouth is and prove it. He never replied. A few weeks later I find out he's planning to speak at a baccalaureate event put on by a local interfaith community. I emailed the teacher in charge and told her what happened and politely asked her to not allow him to speak. She emailed back and essentially said, "That's terrible, I'm so sorry, we're still going to let him speak though, feel better." I'm livid at this point. I've been dismissed, belittled, ignored, and unheard for years despite my efforts to get justice. He's still incredibly popular and everyone loves him. I decide I've done all I can. I tried to take care of things on the DL, talk to him privately to come to an agreement, talk to the organizer to try and come to an agreement. They both ignored me just like the police did. So I decide I'm not going to be quiet anymore. I attend the baccalaureate event, and while he's giving his speech, ironically about treating others with respect, LOL, I hold up a sign that says, "Redacted, has assaulted 2 women." Is this the face of class of 2020? Stop giving assaulters and abusers a platform to speak. Stop silencing women. By the time the event is over, everyone is talking about it, and everyone is pissed at both him and the organizers for letting him speak. Many of the girls there are victims of sexual assault themselves, and they are all furious that the organization knowingly let a predator speak. I feel incredible. It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. The last thing he told me after he'd finished violating me was, "Don't tell anyone." And even after years had passed, and I felt comfortable speaking about it to a select few, and the police knew, and all the teachers knew, he was still praised. And every time I heard someone talk about him fondly, I heard that little voice from deep inside me saying, "You're letting him win." Now that everyone knows and everyone hates him, I know that finally, I can lay this matter to bed. I can finally let go. Best college speaker ever. When finishing up my degree in criminal justice, we had to learn about how the justice system works, and how sometimes it doesn't. For about 2 weeks we studied a case from the early 90s of a woman that had killed her husband. Because the case is public record and a very interesting read, look up Betty Freeburg 1993. The setting was small-town Iowa and the husband was the town drunk. Everyone in town knew him for a drunk, a brawler, a womanizer, and overall just a bad person. His wife was the stay-at-home mom, as she wasn't allowed to work or leave the house aside from get groceries. He would go home, beat her and violate her sexuality, and the cycle would go on, and the whole town knew. Neighbors were a quarter-mile down the road but still would call the police when they heard noises. It was well documented, and because he was never a threat to their daughter, the police did nothing aside from take him to jail like a revolving door. Each time he got out, he'd beat her up again. Their daughter was away at college but came home for Thanksgiving. While the father was at work, the daughter told the mother that her father had violated her sexuality, and that she had even had an abortion because of it. This was the breaking point for the mother. She got her revenge 100-fold. When daughter went back to school after the holidays and husband came home, she killed him with his gun at the kitchen table. The table is important because it was a big farm table used for chopping up deer and other livestock. Doing the butchering was her job, and she was good at it. If I could find the case report, it has pictures of the table and clear marks of chopping. She chopped up her husband and scattered his body over neighboring farms, fed what she could to her livestock, and cleaned up. Months went by and winter came and left. Police investigating his disappearance even questioned her while sitting at the table drinking coffee. She explained the marks on the table by explaining that she butchered her own meat and showed the officers her deep freeze. The investigation went on for months until finally a neighbor's dog brought back a body part. They identified it as belonging to him, and she was arrested on the spot. She pleaded not guilty and refused any offers. It went to trial and 12 of her peers judged her not guilty due to extenuating circumstances. She confessed to the crime, explained why she did it and how, and that she had no real choice because no one was going to help her. The farm was hers and she refused to give it up as it had been her family's home. She was let go entirely for the murder charge. The next week we had Betty as a speaker to the class to discuss the case, and she was awesome. At the time she ironically sold dismemberment insurance for Aflac. Betty, if you ever read this, know you're seen as a figurehead for battered women, and you pulled off the best revenge I have ever been able to study. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.